The very influential European Union has recalled its head of delegation in Tanzania, Bwana Roland van der Geer. Now, this is a very serious thing. Yeah. Now, normally, when a country recalls its ambassador or its high commissioner, it's serious. When a country recalls their representative. However, in this case, Bwana van der Geer represents several European countries. Now, there's some technicalities involved in this recalling business, because there are credible reports that say Mr. van der Geer was actually asked by the Tanzanian government to leave the country. You know, it's not possible legally to deport a diplomat. Yeah, so just ask them, leave the country. Still, whatever way you want to spin this, it is not good. It's not good for Tanzania at all. But even more significantly, it tells all those doubting Thomases, all those people who are saying, oh, Chris Kumekucha is cooking stories. It tells them one thing very clearly, yeah, in black and white. There's a problem in Tanzania. But before we even go into analyzing that, yeah, there's something else. There's talk, yeah, I can call them rumors, but very credible rumors, because I heard them, yeah, coming from diplomatic circles. And these rumors are alarming. Yeah, what do they say? That actually the EU is considering sanctions against Tanzania. Now, this is very serious. In fact, it's unprecedented. We have never had an East African country, yeah, suffering sanctions from the West. Never ever. It has never happened in history. Yeah? And now, we are being told that the European Union is considering, even the mere fact that they're considering, let alone actually going ahead and implementing, the mere fact that they're considering tells you a lot. It tells you that things in Tanzania are elephant. But there's more. Yes, there's more. Yesterday, 2 foreign journalists were arrested. They were arrested at their hotel in Dar es Salaam, held briefly, and then released late in the night, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Both journalists are female. Yeah, one is Angela Quintal, who's a former editor of the Mail and Guardian. Yeah, I believe she's a South African national. The other one, wait for this one, is a Kenyan, Muthoki Mumo. Yeah, and she's a former journalist with the Nation Media Group. Now, as I was making this video, the issue which is still hanging over this very sad affair, unexpected, sad, unexplained affair, is the fact that the 2 journalists still don't have their passports on them. Their passports were taken away by immigration officials in Tanzania. Now, up to this minute, there has been no explanation, no statement from the Tanzanian government as to why these 2 foreign journalists who are said to be visiting Dar es Salaam, visiting Tanzania, were arrested. However, according to initial indications, yeah, the 2 were arrested in connection to not having something called a work permit, or shall I call it work permit. For those who have never been to Tanzania, maybe I can try and reconstruct the initial encounter here. Sisi ni maafisa wa serikali. Tunaomba kuona passport yako. Oops, not exactly. Sisi ni maafisa wa serikali ya Tanzania. Tunaomba kuona passport yako. Mnafanya nini Tanzania? Mmekuja kufanya nini? Mko na work permit? And then when you tell them that you're visiting the country, you're on holiday, their response, holiday yenu ni hapa hotelini? Mmekuja kufanya nini? Haswa, tueleze tuelewe. Hapa sio Serengeti National Park. Hapa ni Dar es Salaam. Hakuna mbuga ya wanyama hapa. Kwa hivyo hapa holiday nini mmekuja hapa? Unahitaji work permit kukaa hapa Dar es Salaam. Loose translation, we are officers of the government. Can I see your passport? Where is your work permit? What have you come to Tanzania to do? You're on holiday? What are you doing here in Dar es Salaam? You're supposed to be in Serengeti, the national park. What holiday are you having here in Dar es Salaam? What exactly are you doing here in Dar es Salaam? Explain to me so that I understand. Now, if you think that is a joke, think again. I have told this story before on this channel, but a very close friend of mine had some very serious issues at the border, trying to cross into Tanzania by road, simply because they mentioned a word, that sent alarm bells, ringing all over the immigration department. Before I tell you the offending word they mentioned, let me give you the whole story. At the height of political tensions in Kenya, this man crossed over to Tanzania with his family. He wanted time to think, and he was really alarmed and believed that the situation in Kenya would escalate into serious violence. And he crossed without an issue. But while in Dar es Salaam, because this man is a businessman, something happened in Mombasa. And he also ran out of funds, and he could not get the funds transferred to him in Dar es Salaam. So he had to go all the way